we do not have to suffer, and period pain is not normal and doesn't have to be endured. Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Sacred Womb podcast, where we talk about all things to do with befriending our menstrual cycle, deeply healing both our feminine and masculine aspects, and how we can indeed utilise our cyclical nature as a natural spiritual pathway that's encoded within our bodies. I'm your host, Melanie Swan, and you can also go to thesacredwomb.com for more information and loads of fantastic free resources. Hello, ladies, wombies, womb witches, healers, doulas, nurses, all you ladies who help others in the world. Thank you. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thank you for growing. Thank you for doing your absolute best in the world. Thank you for connecting with your menstrual cycle and your womb centre and being alongside me on this fantastic, awesome, gut-wrenching, surprising journey of life. So welcome to those new to this podcast. This is a podcast all about how we can befriend our menstrual cycle, really befriend our menstrual cycle, so it's something that acts as a foundation for us in our daily lives and helps us live our full potential. Now, this has been shut down for a long time, but there is a wave of awakening amongst women, and you're part of it as you're listening. So I'm so honoured that you're here, and thank you again for your listenership. I do really appreciate it, and your efforts in sisterhood, actually, of spreading the word as well about this stuff. So thank you. So firstly, I want to announce the winners of last podcast's contest. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why I haven't podcasted for a few weeks, and then we're going to get into the meat of the podcast, which is how to relieve period pain naturally. Yes, we do not have to suffer, and period pain is not normal and doesn't have to be endured. So the winners of last podcast contest are Stephanie Drain, Nikki Atanasio, hope I've pronounced your name correctly, Nikki, and Lauren Lucy. Do check your inbox. There'll be an email in there with a link to book in with me, and I really look forward to meeting you. And thank you so much to everybody that entered. Your entries were fantastic, and it does help other women who are looking for a new podcast particularly about this subject, to develop a bit of trust and see that it's working and engage. So really thank you everyone for your input. It's much appreciated. And if you haven't left a review in iTunes already, I encourage you to do so. It's much appreciated from me. All right then. So just wanted to tell you briefly as well why I haven't podcasted for a few weeks. Well, the upshot is the podcast is going really well. It's matching my intention of reaching more and more women around the world from different cultures, different backgrounds, which is amazing. And so when I first started podcasting, I was a bit nervous, and I could feel some fear about would anybody listen, and could I put this stuff into a format that was understandable and digestible, because I got this stuff direct, from direct experience and from spirit and from learning, just learning on my own really. Learning the medicine wheel, which really helped, and doing sweat lodges and lots of therapy. But the menstrual stuff, it really is coming from my womb and from spirit and from my experiences. So it was a bit scary at first, speaking to the microphone, not knowing if anyone was going to be listening. And then I settled into my rhythm. Yeah, good. Okay, I think I can do this. I'm enjoying it. Went around the creative cycle with it. And then got to a point, I looked at the statistics and saw thousands of women are listening to this. Contraction. I hit the edge of my comfort zone, or a wall or a block, whatever you want to call it. But I had some fear come up, and I felt scared. At first, it was a lovely contrast to at first, is anyone listening? And then I saw, oh shit, thousands are listening. oh, now it has to be better and perfect. And oh my God, I feel totally not good enough. I did that. It went round and round in my head until I felt not good enough. And I felt like, I just don't want to do it. So I felt a fog around it, a fog of kind of not feeling clear, and a fear, really. It's shrouded in a cloud of fear around this. So yeah, it took me a few weeks to work out, and I got it. I went into my premenstrual phase about 6 days ago. And I call it my second sight phase, because I can see beyond the bullshit, see beyond my excuses, and see beyond the fears. The mist cleared, and I was like, okay. So I feel scared. I feel some fear and an old pattern of needing everything to be right, and thinking that I had to be a certain way to get connection. It's an old attachment pattern that just came up, and it's still dissolving. So yeah, at least I got some clarity on that. And once I got some clarity and started speaking into the microphone, I have to admit, this is about the fourth attempt at recording this podcast, sitting in front of the mic over the last 7-8 days, just thinking, God, I just have to do this. So anyway, I wrote my newsletter. I set it to go out at 10 o'clock, 10:44 tonight. And I just said to myself, the part of myself that's scared, because it's not all of me. I did a soul retrieval with myself and some work there, some healing work. And I said to myself, do you know what? We're going to do this. And it's all right. And, there was a lot more that went on, but that was the upshot of it. So here I am, ladies. I'm telling you because I hope it resonates. I'm wondering if it resonates, and also if you're wondering if your work is of worth, of value, or you're having some fears about really being seen, about your work being out there, then it doesn't just go when it starts. When you start to do it, it may do for you, but certainly didn't for me. I get to deeper layers of it. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I'm showing up. I'm at the mic and I'm going for it. So I hope you enjoy today's podcast. I am recording it on day 26 of my cycle. My womb's very full. I do feel like I'm carrying a watermelon around. So it's going to be a big one this time. So my diary's clear and I'm ready to sink in and leave the outside world behind. And I'm brewing a big project and a step up, and I've had my hair chopped off, and there's a lot going on, and it's all great, and I'm okay. I can tell there's going to be some diving in this Moontime and whatever else it brings, because I like to think I can predict what's going to happen, but I really, really can't. My moon cycle, my womb teaches me every time. So, all right then. Let's get going on today's podcast. Do stay tuned to the end, as I have a beautiful gift for you. A guided meditation to help you connect with the joy, and I mean the absolute joy, of your cycle and cyclical nature. Details at the end for that. All right then, let's get going. Okay, ladies. How do we relieve period pain naturally? So let's start with wondering what period pain actually is, or the pain of periods, as I prefer to put it. So, for a long, long time, we collectively have, as women, been trying to get on with it during our periods and during our cycle, in fact. So we are cyclical beings, and by nature. And every few days we go through a cycle. We have different hormones, we have different opportunities and different gifts that arise during these different phases. However, we haven't really been privy to that knowledge, and we've kind of been focused on how we can get through and flatten that cycle in order to compete with men and work in a sort of, quote, man's world, a distorted masculine world, I might add, not the true divine masculine, but this distorted thing that we call the patriarchy that we all contribute to. But that's another podcast. So we've been trying to fit ourselves into this box that does not fit at all. And our periods, we've developed a lot of things that we can kind of get on with our periods without really noticing them. So birth control and tampons and several other things, we can try and pretend it's not happening. And in fact, one woman I spoke to thought that was the goal, really. She said, I've got to a point where I really hardly notice it at all. So it's great. What's this work you're doing? Like you're trying to get women to notice their cycle? Oh, that's the opposite of what she thought she was supposed to do. And that's from conditioning. So, there we go. Our perspective of period pain is that if we get period pain, we want it to go away. It's another inconvenience, as well as the bleeding, as well as the cycle. We just want to get on with things. And we do, in this current time, live in times where we do a lot, and it's seen as a weakness to not be able to do generally. So of course then we're going to have developed ways to make the pain go away without listening to what the pain is actually doing. So if we can shift the perspective onto pain as a call for attention, because that's just what it is really. If we trap our finger in the door, then we feel pain and we know, take my finger out of the door and don't do it again. If we stub our toe, given that I stub my toe on the same thing, it seems, many times. I don't really take any notice of that call, but I try to. And so it's pain. Ow, that hurts. Don't do that again. Shit, check, is my foot broken? And if we have an accident or if we've got pain somewhere else, we tend to go to the doctors. But period pain? Pop a pill, do something about it, go on the pill, get what are those funny things called? Coils. Wow, there are so many methods to get rid of pain without actually investigating what is actually the root cause. Why would we be in pain for something that is fundamentally a natural process? So I do get it. I do get that, if you're taking pills or, you're doing something that's quite unnatural to get rid of period pain, I get it. Like, I used to get absolutely excruciating period pain. I felt like I wanted to give birth. I was doubled over. And I would get horrendous period pain whilst I was working. I would have to go home. And hey presto, in a couple of hours, I would lie down, rest, wake up, no pain. So that really started to help me connect the dots in. Do you know what? I am somehow, my body's generating pain because I'm not slowing down here. And I'm trying to do something that I don't really want to do. My job was okay. It got its good points, but I really wanted to leave and stop my freelance practice. So my period pain was just getting worse and bloody worse. And it was pretty horrible. I didn't look forward to my periods. I kind of did. I knew there was more, but it wasn't something that I really genuinely looked forward to. So I get it. It's not easy, and it is intensely painful. It can be very, very painful. So I understand. So, however, trying to just get rid of it without listening to it is just never going to work, really. It'll suppress what the message is even more. And as I've experienced it, messages from the body, if we don't listen, they up the ante. The body is constantly trying to work for us, constantly trying to heal, and it goes somewhere else and ups the ante. And until we'll listen. So let's say pain is a call for attention, and that might be physical, there might be inflammation, there might be a medical issue there. We may need to change our diet, get a fertility massage, maybe the womb's kind of gone out of place. It does move. Or maybe it's a psychological, spiritual, emotional thing, an energetic thing. And today I'm going to focus on those last three, the psychological, spiritual, emotion. I generally call it like the psycho-spiritual side. And the first one of those is living in tune with our cyclical nature. So our menstrual cycle, we can imagine this, or I imagine this anyway, as a wheel inside me, a medicine wheel built within me. And this wheel is turning. It turns naturally, like a wheel in a mill. It naturally moves the river, it picks it up, it generates electricity and energy sometimes. So yeah, there's this moving thing within me that's inbuilt, that I was designed and I incarnated with. And this wheel moves. And if I try and stop that wheel, this wheel is my cycle. It takes me around the whole menstrual cycle and pulls me and takes me into all different aspects of my being. So at the beginning phase of my cycle, the first quarter, let's say, of my menstrual cycle, I feel quite vulnerable and fresh and inspired. The next phase, I'm feeling really like taking a lot of aligned action, and some of my projects come to fruition, and I'm very outward and sociable. And then in the third quarter, I'm, starting to slow down a bit and just get a bit reflective and kind of enjoying the fruits of my labours, to be honest. And then in the last quarter, which is a premenstrual phase, I'm starting to withdraw more and more from the world and focus on my inner world. And I get a second sight. I start to be able to be very analytical of what I've been doing, and the veil, the filter comes off, and the things that have been bothering me around the month, I can't tuck away anymore. They have to be dealt with. So awesome phase I'm in right now. It's been a bit brocky this time. So if you can imagine, that wheel is turning us every month. For parts of us to be dissolved, for parts of us to come to light. This is just our natural cycle of growth. And if we try and stop that wheel, then there's a resistance. I'm trying to stop this, and there's this thing inside me that's trying to go the other way. I'm pushing anti-clockwise, and this circle is pushing clockwise. There's going to be some grinding there. And that's partly what creates pain, because we have energy in us that wants to move. It drives our psyche, it drives our physical cycle. We try and suppress that, ladies. We're going to get pain every single time. Now, that might not show up as physical pain. I have met some women who aren't in physical pain, but in immense emotional pain, terrible premenstrual symptoms, don't know when they're ovulating, and just can't get a hold of their intuition and can't ground. And it's all to do with being disconnected from our menstrual cycle. This lovely energetic flow and natural flow that we're just butting up against, mainly because we don't bloody know. We don't have the information, which is why I'm doing these podcasts, which is why I run the Moon Lodge, which is why the work I do. Because a lot of this period issues, period pain, the pain of periods, clear up when we actually live our cyclical nature, live in tune with. Okay, hope that's clear. So the second one is menstrual products. Ooh, I have to make notes for this part, because I could talk about this all day as to what the hell has happened with our menstrual products. Ladies, we have given our power away so much, and we've been sticking toxic tampons in our vaginas, and they do so much damage. And yeah, what's in those things? Cotton isn't white, that's bleached, so there's dioxins in them. It's a byproduct of bleach. Rayon, what the fucking hell is rayon? We pull the tampon out, and the little filaments get left behind as it scrapes down the vaginal walls. And it doesn't just take in menstrual blood, it takes in our juice as well, our lubrication. The tampons are just bloody awful, as the womb is the portal for the great mother, for the great void for all of creation, and we're sticking a plug in it. If you're happy to use tampons, or you're using them right now and feel maybe a little bit defensive, fair enough, I get it. I've tried to use them myself. But I would recommend, if you're unsure, stick a tampon in your mouth and try and keep it there for, 4 hours is the usual amount of time, and then change it for something else. I mean, I bet you can't even take it in for 30 seconds, because we're more sensitive in our mouth we're more used to the sensitivity, I should say, in our mouth than our vaginas, our yonis. So try it if you're using it, if your friends are using them, if they're happy to do that, stick it in the mouth, then stick it in the vagina. Okay, so that's my piece on tampons. There are some natural organic ones out there, but for me they're still a plug, and they pull and they scrape on the vaginal walls as they come out. So I'm not a fan of that, because our blood nourishes our passageway, and so it's going to help dislodge old emotional charge in our yoni centre. So I'd really recommend, if you're using tampons, just chuck them away and find a natural alternative. Also, plastic pads. There's the manufacturers do not put what's in the box. Tampons too, for very good reason, because I think if they did, nobody would use them. And as Rachel Hartards of Moontimes says, ladies, vote with your purse. Because basically we could put these companies out of business and force them to put the ingredients on the box by just stopping using them. It's not the government's responsibility. It's not anybody else's responsibility. It's our responsibility. And we can change the world like that. We can just stop buying them. There are some natural pads that I use occasionally. Naturacare, the brand is. I like them. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't know them personally, but I use Naturacare occasionally when I'm out. They work for me. They haven't got any plastic in or bleach, so occasionally I quite like that option if I'm out. The other option is a moon cup. Means you can catch your menstrual blood. Means you can maybe paint with it if you want. Means you can adorn your forehead with it if you like, or you can pour it on your plants. Whatever, but it's. I know a lot of women are switching to moon cup and are just so happy with that. If you are using a moon cup, I'd recommend you take it out at night to let the blood flow down and around, because it's really nourishing, and it will be very helpful if you're suffering with period pain as well. That's my little rant about menstrual products. You also have the option of natural pads, natural cotton pads, of making your own pads as well. Or, as I do occasionally, I sit on a towel, and someone I know sits on the earth. She has a garden, and she's built a little red tent in the bottom of a garden and goes and bleeds into the earth. So that's awesome. There we go, menstrual products. There's a lot you can do, a real lot you can do to help alleviate period pain by changing your menstrual products. If you don't believe me, try it. Give it a go. Also, one added benefit before I move on is when I've known women who've stopped using that plastic crap, plastic bleach stuff, their periods get shorter. I think it's because the body is trying to flush out the dioxins and the crap that's in them. The last woman I spoke to went from a 7-day to a 4-day period just by using a moon cup. So there you go. All right, then the third point is, what do we do in our moon time? So we've got this lovely wheel inside of us that's trying to take us somewhere. It's trying to take us somewhere. Round and round and round in cycles and spirals. And when we're bleeding, something very, very special can happen. Now, if we carry on as normal through this phase, we're going to miss it. And if we carry on as normal without being aware of our cycle for the rest of the month, we're probably going to miss it too. Hopefully it might catch us. Hopefully it might pull us in. So, what happens in Moontime? There needs to be space for magic, for the unknown, for that wheel to reach its innermost low point and just release. And just release. If you're not letting that happen in your body, there's going to be pain, because that's what naturally needs to happen. So I'd recommend, if you're suffering from period pain, and if you're not, then clear a couple of days in your diary around Moontime. If that feels too much, clear an afternoon. If that feels too much, clear an hour. Just start where you're at and with what you can do. I know some of you have kids and that's difficult. You have this sort of or that sort of job and it's difficult. But if you can take an hour and then 2 hours and then a bit longer the next cycle, see what happens to your pain and your feelings towards your cycle. Something very, very special can happen. All right, just to go over those 3 points again. The first one, to help us relieve period pain, is to live in tune with our cyclical nature. And I really want to be clear that I'm not aiming for this super perfect picture or any particular way of living. Your cycle, your way, your rules. And it's up to you and each of us to find out what that means. So, we can follow the phases, but I can't tell you what it's going to produce for you and what it's going to feel like and how it's going to change your life. I just know it will. And the second part is to look at your menstrual products and go as natural as you can. Throw away the crap. And the third one is to clear space during Moontime. Take time out from normal daily life. And it does take around 80% of our, 80% of our immune system is redirected to support the menstrual cycle at Moontime. That information is from the medical medium Anthony William, so he's very, very precise. So you can look up more on that on his website, medicalmedium.com. But 80% of our immune system's energy is redirected to the menstrual cycle to support us during this time. Very, very useful information from him. And that's why symptoms can show up around our period that we don't normally get, because the immune system doesn't have enough energy to sort of patch over it and cope with it. So unfortunately, our periods get blamed for a lot of things when in actual fact it's other things causing it. So have a look at that. So what happens on our Moontime? Clear as much space as you can. I tend to clear the whole of my Moontime if possible. Maybe towards the end I plan some things in, but nothing too hectic. And certainly day 1 and day 2 I definitely try to talk to as few people as possible and let myself separate from the outside world and go fully in. All right, well, that's everything. And to finish off, I have a gift for you. It's a guided meditation, a 15-minute guided meditation to help you connect with the joy of your cyclical nature. If you're listening to this on iTunes, the link is in the show notes, or you go to thesacredwomb.com/episode 31. Episode is written out fully, so www.thesacredwomb.com/episode 31, and you scroll down the blog post and there's a little form to fill in with your name and email address, and you will get a lovely guided meditation to use straight away. I really hope you enjoy it. Do post in the Sacred Womb private Facebook group on how you get on. Please, please don't suffer in silence with this. It's something that we as women have collectively got used to. We endure it, and it does not have to be that way. We can have awesome periods. We can enjoy our periods. personally, I love them. I love my bleed time. I know I'm going to get insight. I'm kind of welling up talking to you about it, actually, because I really need some extra insight right now. I'm birthing a big thing for me. It's probably why my womb feels like a watermelon, which in about 3 weeks, I'm probably going to be able to tell you about, but I don't know. So I'm so looking forward to this one. I've cleared the decks. My diary's clear, and I can't wait to go in. And my partner respects that too. We live in quite a small shared space right now, and he respects that too. So I will be doing another podcast on sharing your cycle if you have a partner, and how to work in tune with that, and how to get your guy on board. All right. Okay, ladies. Thank you so much for your listenership again, and I wish you a beautiful day, and I hope you enjoy that guided meditation. Goodbye. I really hope you enjoyed the podcast and that you got some useful tips out of it that can make a genuine difference in your daily life. And if you'd love to work deeper with this stuff, then do head on over to thesacredwomb.com, where you can sign up to receive the weekly newsletter and an invite to our private Facebook group, where you can share, learn and grow with like-minded women in a safe, supported space. Thank you so much for tuning in. Do leave us a rating, and your comments are very, very welcome. And I'll see you next time.